Adventures of Danny and Mike. To my left, Mr. Michael C. Maronna.
Pretty much always.
And below me, Danny Tamberelli.
It's not like I've heard that one before.
You just happy that it wasn't Mike this time. Mike got a break.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's usually below me, and now you are. So my name is Jeremy. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Another quarantine edition, if you will.
You're not going to introduce Bruce McCullough?
Oh, I should. I should. Kids in the Halls is what's happening. Yeah, I could. I could join in that. Yeah, definitely.
I tried acid in grade 8.
No, it's my pen. My pen is the greatest Kids in the Hall sketch, in my opinion. But that's just me. Why the Kids in the Hall thing, Mike?
No, it was like a day that I went through and watched a few episodes.
Interesting.
And that was one that stuck out for me. It was a good time.
Yeah, they I guess they're doing new ones, right? They're going to do what was that for?
I just wanted to show off my new light that you got me.
Ooh.
That's all. Now I feel like I'm too bright.
I told
I've washed out my face.
Mike got a mic, Dan got a light. You know, it's like
whereas Jeremy got nothing.
No, Jeremy got a stupid fucking arm for his stupid microphone.
He did just show that off.
That wasn't a Danny and Mike purchase. That was a Jeremy purchase.
Oh,
yes.
I can't tell the difference sometimes.
Also, if you're going to use that light, maybe don't put it behind the ball, so that way the shadow of the ball is just right.
Look, man, I don't know where to put it because the thing is only it's like a less than a foot.
Yeah, just you can bounce it and turn it up high and bounce it into the sky.
Well, that's
get a ball camera.
It's a ball camera
and some
ball camera too.
It was like a $20 little LED light or something or another.
It's very bright. It's too bright.
His room was very dark. And yours?
For the listener, nobody gives a shit. So sorry.
That's true. How are you, gents? I have been watching nonstop the news, and the world is crumbling, guys. And maybe it's for the good. Maybe something good will come out of all this. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that stuff or no.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
We both have young kids and old relatives, and I know we feel torn right now. It's fucked up.
It's all fucked up. I've been thinking about boots on the ground type deal here pretty soon, just to go support a little bit. But I also
looking like a fool with your boots on the ground. Boots turn sideways. Boot hits the ground. Boot hits the ground. That's it.
I'm going to. Yeah.
You should go.
Just have to time it out. Marla, I don't know if you guys know this, but Marla fell the other day. She was walking the dog, Richie, our foster dog. Her foot got caught in the park slope sidewalks that are all wonky, and she fell and bruised her eye really bad and got 6 stitches. And
no, I didn't know that. I hope she's
fractured ankle. Yeah.
I hope she's feeling better.
Geez, well, she should not be going anywhere.
She will not be joining, but yeah, I have to just find a time when it's good to leave her. I've been reciprocating.
Scoot.
You know,
you could call her Lady Scoots.
Exactly. She's getting her scoots tomorrow, and
she's getting her own scoots.
I'm going to do some sort of a post about it, but yeah, she's in bad shape. So I've been sort of taking care of her and basically doing what she did with me when I was known as Scoots.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I can't go protest because I got an 11-month-old baby. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Well, you can, though. I mean, Kate's there. She could watch him. She likes him, right?
No,
not so much.
She doesn't like him.
You don't feel that way?
He's doing weird stuff right now where he only wants me to do things, and Kate's feeling very upset about it. Like, I can only put him to sleep. I can only put him in his high chair.
Stuff happens.
He's like, if he's like not being a good breastfeeder and like nipping and like biting at her, if I like walk in, like he straightens up. Like I've become the disciplinarian. I don't know how that happened, but that's what's happening right now.
Reversal.
Yeah.
Bit of a reversal. Is he sleeping okay or no?
No, he's not sleeping well. I mean, he's inconsistent. Last night he was up between the hours of 12:30 and 2. Granted, there were sirens flying down Eastern Parkway all night and helicopters.
Word up, you live on a big
other stuff.
Yeah, you live on a big thoroughfare there with a service road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of action last night.
I'd say action in general.
There were, yeah.
But
so I wanted to. This was sort of in line with the. This is not baby talk. I don't know if you were finished with that thought, but
no, I'm just saying that. So I'm not. I haven't. Yeah. I feel like I would like to be doing more. Best I can do is put my money to good use.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that is important. I just donated to Lindsey Graham's opposition, so that hopefully that motherfucker can get out of there. And I've done the same for Mitch McConnell. I know there's problems with Amy McGrath, and she, there's some sort of Republican tendencies there, but there's no way it's going to be as bad as that turtle-headed motherfucker. So those are my opinions, mine and mine only.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about putting my money towards bail for protesters and stuff like that, not necessarily political stuff right now.
Right. No, that makes sense. There's a lot of good Brooklyn Bail Fund. I think there's one big one that's going around for the Brooklyn protesters. I'll get that address and put it in the episode. But yeah, that's a very fine way of helping. I did want to breach the subject if you guys have ever. So I'm in a place where I feel I've lived a very privileged life. Both of us, all of us have, in the respect to Black Lives Matter and in the movement and sort of what they go through on a daily basis. And so obviously I've supported every movement they've been a part of, but this one for some reason feels like it's done. Like something has to change. And I've been basically responding, like I had somebody in my family posted a All Lives Matter thing. And I was just like, this is horribly tone deaf. Like you have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm just wondering what you guys, if you broach these subjects with your family, if you do step in and talk to people when they have
I think the separation of the time is enabling us not to have these conversations in a lot of time, which is really disgusting and sad, but maybe
but how though?
Maybe people are scared to talk about this on top of all the shit that's already happening. I think it's possible for every single human to have different capacities on to handle crap like this until they get overloaded.
Yeah.
I have uncles who are cops. My cousin's a cop. It's definitely a harder subject for me to broach with that side of my family because, the thin blue line and they're all, and I get it. And I get it. But at the same time, I know that just as much as anybody who has 36,000 members, they support each other, and whether it's for good or for bad. Mm-hmm. And that's problematic for me. But yes, I mean, people say all lives matter is the dumbest thing ever, because you shouldn't have to ever say that, because we're all fucking human beings and we should all know that all lives matter. But this isn't about that in any way.
Right. Yeah, it's an easy way to play it off.
It's a very easy way. It's like you can say, yes, has it been fair to Asian Americans who have been harassed during coronavirus? No.
Right.
I get it. They're not getting murdered like this. And it's something that needs to be discussed and brought up. And it's not a good time. We're not in a good place being in this situation where people are not able to see each other. Makes it all the more two-dimensional by being on the computer, and the only outlet they have to express their feelings
to comfort each other. But a lot of people are getting out. A lot of people are getting out in the streets anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, but what I'm saying is talking to your families and talking to people that think different opinions than you. You're not doing that outside because you're not. It's a different situation. Being able to post a thing on Facebook and say, "Ooh, look."
Sure. No. That's what Facebook is for, finding out that your relatives are racist, and Twitter is for finding out that strangers are racist. That's the difference between the two. That's the difference between the two platforms. We don't have to have those conversations much, even though you see whatever people revealing themselves with posts right about this week, right about this weekend, or whatever. just not being able to physically comfort each other in some cases, not being able to travel that distance to see each other or to do it. Where I'm working on the cars across the street from a cemetery, and I watched a funeral happen, a burial happen this afternoon, just before I came to record here, and people were spaced out and all that stuff, socially distanced, and then the gravediggers came by afterwards, and I was gonna say Prince Paul, but and then the gravediggers came by, and only some of them were wearing masks after the all the family and friends from the funeral people were all I think pretty much wearing masks or whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how much backlogging there is of people.
There's a lot of that. Like in Greenwood Cemetery, they're cremating like 70 bodies a day, or they were at the height of like all this stuff, and they were telling people that they couldn't get buried, but if you wanted to get cremated, we could do that faster. But even that would take a couple days or a week or whatever. Yeah, so it's a big shit pile on top of shit pile here, and
let's take $20 million out of the police budget and just put it towards making sure that fucking hospitals and beds.
So an extra salute to the people who put their lives at risk, in a couple of ways, and put their bodies on the line to go out there and demonstrate about this, and unfortunately get fucked up the past few nights. Especially here, we're just talking about in New York, but I'm just talking about in New York, all over
140 cities across the country.
Yeah, but all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to be like, a bummer of an episode for people.
No, but it's important. Sure it's important to talk about, and what you were saying too about like, I don't know how to speak to what's going on here to make people feel better.
Well, we can bump some bail. We can bump some bail funds. We can bump some mutual aid.
Those are things. Those are things you can do. But I'm talking about like
specifically family,
and talk about how you're volunteering.
Not even family stuff. Just like saying that I am someone who is white and I have white privilege, and it's something that I've been arrested 3 times for possession of marijuana. If a black person had been arrested 3 times in the city, it's 3 strikes and you're out, and they'd be in jail for years. And I never saw anything. And
is that the same in New York State as in California?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying that like that's something that I know that affects me, that I can point to and say, like, that's my white privilege right there. And that's
was arrested for marijuana possession. Was arrested for marijuana possession again.
How many people were arrested for marijuana possession and went to Rikers? And how many of them were people of color?
Yeah.
I've only
legalization.
I've only been arrested once. I was 16 years old. I never in a million years thought my life was under threat. I was just, I was scared about getting my ass whooped by my parents.
Yeah.
I never in a million years was worried about my life.
Yeah. It's not
even after all the bullshit that happened, me getting arrested.
Yeah.
That's true. It's hard to express that, especially now when people are saying that, silence is complicity and all of these things. It's like, I'm not trying to say stuff to make myself feel better. It's like, it's hard. It's a hard line to sort of navigate to except for just expressing compassion and kindness and solidarity. I don't know what else I should be doing,
Well, I mean, the pandemic angle obviously makes it difficult, like Mike was saying, but I don't know.
Dan, I think community organizing really, getting friendly with your neighbors. I thought I felt
we're the only white people in my building. I'm very friendly with all of my neighbors.
No, I'm saying when I moved around the corner, I know I am not the only white person in my building. I live in a white neighborhood, and it's very, I don't know that if I were to post something on my fire escape or out my window about my solidarity with what's going on, whether that would be as safe from my windows in my neighborhood as opposed to in yours. And when I moved around the corner off of a main drag like you live on, I lived on a very loud street for a long time. And it's a little bit quieter over here. And I got to know my neighbors a little bit, and that was kind of nice. But I don't really see them anymore. Never really chilled with them that much, but I don't really see them anymore. And that that feeling of community is just feels a little withdrawn. I'm not saying that this is everybody's experience. I'm just what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the whole crux of it, right? It's like we're not supposed to really be socializing. And if we are, it's from a distance. And if you're socially distancing, you're probably doing it with your friends and family.
It just announced there's 11 p.m. curfew tonight. So.
Oh, New York.
Cuomo just announced it, yeah. 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Yeah.
So I guess the subways are curfewed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure if you're out, you know, and I don't know, who knows? Typically these things are like if you're out and you're not working or have a reason to be out. Well, that's a whole other thing about profiling and stuff. Like there's probably two different sets of circumstances that happen when I go out at 2 a.m. on a curfew and someone else, a person of color goes out.
There's video of that last night from Los Angeles, I believe, where a car in front were a couple of white women,
oh my God,
and the car behind them were people of color, and they were getting
the cops attacked them.
Yeah,
the cops attacked the car. They were beat. Yeah,
and they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go anywhere because that car wasn't moving.
Right.
So when was it? I think 2 or 3 years ago, in my own town that I grew up in Wyckoff, New Jersey, the chief of police
was
not recorded. Somebody forwarded an email that he had sent to the
that's what it was.
Police department profiling any person of color in the town because they're having whatever problems.
Was it revenue problems?
It wasn't revenue problem. It was just like
we're having a number of break-ins.
Right, exactly. And so like if you see, if you see a black person, like you should stop them and see what they're doing. Where like the town has a main highway that runs right through it. Your car could break down on the side of the road in the town, and if you're black and you get stopped by the cops, they're gonna fuck with you. And that was a really messed up thing. He is no longer the chief of police of Wyckoff, but it just again goes to show like how people
have you seen
where they grew up, and like that's the town I grew up in. Like I feel like I'm pretty, I don't know. It's one of those things where you're like, that's my town. Like that's how could I grow up here and not know that is hanging around in my town. Like I know that we had very few black people in my town, but they're still there.
That's why I left my town. Part of the big reason is that it's good old boys. You know what I mean? They're just good old boys. They mean well, and it's
right. And you're able to cut them off online or whatever, to not have to see that stuff. But you also
I've never responded to stuff like I'll unfollow somebody if I knew them in high school and they're a Trump supporter and they're spouting garbage. I won't do it if they're just a Trump supporter because I'm not a fucking animal. But like it's about the content and what they believe and what they're trying to pass on to other people. And if it's bullshit, then I'm not gonna have that shit in my timeline. I'm just not gonna do it. I've never really talked to my family about this stuff or anyone. I left Ohio because I obviously for film stuff and to do this sort of thing, but like the big thing was I just wanted diversity. I wanted to be somewhere where there were people that didn't look like me and I could learn things and I wouldn't have to have this really small town mindset. And a lot of people don't understand why I even moved here, how I could ever do that. But I don't know, from a very young age, there's just some bad generational shit there that just year after year after generation just gets passed down and passed down and passed down. Sometimes some slip through and they're like, yeah, I get it. I get that this is wrong. And, but there's also a huge number of KKK members in Ohio, or white supremacists, and
you can fuck up in Lynchburg and end up in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the speaking? Dan, you were talking a second ago. There's a new video out that just posted from last night about an FBI agent. They handcuff him. Just look up FBI. You know, it's just. I think they're blasting it out today, but they said you look like somebody that we're looking for.
What was the outcome?
And they put him in cuffs. And he's like, wait for this. Wait, this is going to be great. Well, he was like, wait, this is going to be great.
And they looked at his ID.
And he's an FBI agent. And so they handcuffed him and and he's like giving him shit. Like, what is wrong with you? This is an obvious profile. Like, this is wrong what you're doing. He's like, no, the law says we can, he made some bullshit excuse, but it's
crazy to see that the reason why people are protesting makes more trouble for police departments across the country because they're being overly aggressive and doing things they shouldn't be doing. And then you have places like Camden, New Jersey, where they march together, which is a beautiful thing, particularly for that city because it's so corrupt and so just...
It's a police state.
It's just... I mean, it was for a long time. Camden had no police. They had state police because it was so corrupt.
Isn't Camden the place that's just monitored?
Norcross just failed to get a full renewal of one of his contracts for the first time in a long time.
Norcross?
Yeah, who controls most of Jersey, the insurance broker.
Uh-huh.
It was just significant. In relation to Camden, he was behind most of the tax incentive and Camden
to get people to come to Camden. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he profited over most of that, and was the lobbyist for all of the tax credits where companies say, I would take 817 jobs out of New Jersey and throw them in the Atlantic Ocean unless you give us 80 million tax dollars, and then we will save this many jobs and we will put them in Camden. But we don't have to pay attention to every environmental law when we build a building.
It's the Amazon thing all over again from Long Island City. I mean, sort of. It's not the same, but Jesus, look at that, Michael C. For the listener, if you're not on the Patreon video, Michael is dropping gems.
That's a SUNY Purchase haircut I can see.
This was walk-on college soccer, Mike. He walked on.
This is post-purchase. This is post-purchase.
This is post-purchase?
This post-purchase pre-9/11, I want to say in the summer after college, I think.
Is that your soccer scarf there on the left? Hanging from the window? Oh, no, what is that?
I think it's
koi.
like...
It's like a koi fish?
Koi, okay.
No, I think it's like a tropical bird.
Oh, okay.
for the listener.
Yeah. But anyway, I just was bringing it up because it's something that I've tried to stay out of it for years, and then something was just inside of me yesterday that was just like I have to call bullshit when I see it. I have to. You know what I mean? I think that's the least that I can do sitting here as a privileged white person in the most privileged area of Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
I think Dan sees more cops than you do every day when he's out.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's true.
Two different neighborhoods.
It's very true.
In Greenpoint, I did not even notice the protest that was going on because it was so low key, but I did notice the cop cars that were sitting right there watching it when we took Getty up to just play in the park late the other night.
Yeah, I could hear the helicopters last night. They were very loud, and then I hear like random pops of either fireworks or smoke bombs or something. I don't know what it was, but anywho, I just wanted to talk it out, boys. That was.
It's good to talk it out. It's important. It's important to speak about it, and it is important to call your friends and relatives out when they say stupid shit.
Yeah. And
at least not even that stupid shit, but just like my aunt who lives in San Francisco, who is a
Carolyn.
No, who lives in San Francisco.
I was just listening. I'm going through all the old episodes. I'm trying to tweak them, and I was just listening to the Hitting Stick episode again.
Oh, The hitting stick episode.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And then
Carolyn,
snap
come
back.
quick. Well,
Haven't gotten to
Give me
one.
that hitting stick.
Aunt Carolyn is a side of the family that is difficult to talk to about it because they'll swear up and down that they're not.
No way. The Notre Dame fans, I'd never believe that they were obstinate.
I mean, and I love them to death. I love my family. It's just it's a very difficult thing, particularly because they're retired cops and their son is a cop. And I talked to him too. He's been texting me, telling me to leave. He's like, "You better get out of there. Like, get out of Brooklyn. Like, go to Wildwood. Go, just leave." Like,
Really?
and
Go to Wildwood.
he's scared.
Ride the coaster.
Because I think he's scared. You know what I mean? And like, and then it's like, well, it's last night. He's like, "Don't be by the windows because things are about to go down." And I'm like, well,
Is he in Brooklyn?
No, he's Nassau County cop, but he gets to hear all of the Nassau County cops can hear all of the NYPD information that goes on. They can't hear Nassau County, but Nassau County can hear all of the what's going on at NYPD. So he was like texting me until like 2 a.m, being like, "I'm gonna make sure that nothing he's being nice," but then he was also, and I kept telling him, I was like, he's like, "Tomorrow some stuff might be going down at the Hicksville Mall and they have me stationed over there." And I'm like, well, be careful and be safe and be smart. And like, and he's like, "Yeah, well, one thing we don't do is take shit." And I was like, that's that kind of antagonistic shit that you don't need to bring to something like this.
Yeah.
Like it's
it's the militarization of our local police forces, and in a mindset that's completely different than it was even 20 years, 40 years ago, or
No, I mean, it's always been like that. It's always been like that.
No, there weren't text messages.
Right.
I'm just saying, if I look back at my childhood, and of course it was in a small town in Ohio, but even now you see Ohio cops in a small town, in the same town that our local cop who would just drop his gun and have an old Buick that he would run around in, and he was the oldest. He was like 60 years old when he was a cop, and my point is, now it's like there's SUVs and they have armor and there's all this shit that they get from the government from past. I don't know what it's from. I guess past wars or something.
Yeah, from past wars, dude.
And now it's completely. I don't know how. I don't know. I like to see protesters wearing sort of the same thing because it's fucking ridiculous. And I hope that when they see that, they're like, we're not standing in Kabul, like we're in Brooklyn, New York. We're standing by the Barclays Center, and you guys look like you're fucking ready to invade Iraq again. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't. Yes,
but then when that happens, they don't do anything about it. When people are protesting here, and things get escalated, and bottles are being thrown, things are getting set on fire, shit goes down, and the police act, the way that they feel they have to protect themselves and to protect what they think is the right decision, is to not let mayhem ensue. But at the same time, like, the other side of that is that you had armed militants who dressed up like cops and dressed up like military with guns go into a state house in Michigan and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Because they're all white.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting because you see face-offs, you see standoffs between lines of protesters and cops, and you see them all the time. And you see people get up in the face, and it will sometimes be a white woman getting in the front lines to be there, either to test what the cop will take, getting yelled at and getting screamed at close to their face. But there's always big, strong people, big, strong dudes right there as well. What we saw in state houses getting protested and stuff like that. And then I feel like you've seen the same in standoffs nowadays with people and the cops, is that you see white women trying to put themselves in the way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And getting fucking violently hit, as opposed to what happened to those people, what happened in front of the state houses.
Right. I mean, there's a no. Unfortunately, it's like what my cousin said. We don't take shit. It's like, well,
But they do. You took a whole ton of shit.
Yeah.
You took a whole ton of shit from white people who screamed in your fucking faces from an inch away.
Mm-hmm.
You took a ton of shit.
Yeah, I was watching another. There's just so many heartbreaking ones, but the video of the guy who's just like kneeling in front of a line in front of near the White House, I think, and it's just little. He can't be 25 years old or something like that. Just this young kid, and he's just bearing his soul, saying like, why do you, like, why is it like this? Why do you look at me and see something different than when you look at somebody else? It doesn't make any sense. And he's did this whole thing, this very peaceful, like putting it out on the table to this huge line of protesters or to cops, in full riot suits. And they started talking. And then all of a sudden, two of them came out and just grabbed him. And they're like, what the fuck? He was talking. He was talking to them. He wasn't throwing things. He wasn't doing anything. He was on his knees 10 feet, at least 10, 15 feet away from him. And he's anyway, it's sad. Please, I beg of you, if you do anything today, make sure you're registered to vote. And if it's not too late, and even if maybe you're not, maybe it's not your type of thing, but
I don't think just voting is the answer. I think we got to organize now. And I think that's what these demonstrations are about. People have already been organized before.
Yeah.
And a lot more people got to get organized. It's just,
but systematic racism is not going to, you know what I mean? Like, yes, I think.
Yeah, but it's the systematic racism is on both sides. It is. It's everywhere.
Hmm.
It's everywhere.
And is an obstacle to getting organized.
Yes, it is. And some people would argue that they're the people who are just starting shit and breaking stuff and throwing, Molotov cocktails and doing things just to incite, and they're not really part of the movement and they're not really part of anything, is doing, dousing all of the good the protesting is doing. But I would also argue that because it's happening everywhere and there are so many people who are upset by it, that alone is progress, and that alone is something to hang your hat on. The fact that enough people have said that this is like, this is bullshit. I mean, it's like no justice, no peace. Well, you can't in 2 weeks, you can't have an ex-cop in Georgia murder a jogger, and then a woman gets killed in her own home without a warrant, without just busting in, and then this, and then, the lightest thing of all of this is that woman who is trying to call the cops on that guy in Central Park.
Yeah.
Like,
about to strangle that fucking dog.
And that stuff happens, people will say that, oh, well, white people get killed by cops every day and this and that. And it's
it's true, but
it is true. But like, you can't deny what just happened in like the span of 2 weeks of living here in the United States.
400 years in this fucking country.
Yes. And that's the other thing, is that like, how do you fix someone's brain to not look at someone's skin and immediately be scared?
Yeah.
Or be intimidated, or be, whatever. I mean, that's the real problem, is that there's so many, these things happen because everybody's taught that, oh, well, like, there's more crime and there's more this and there's more that happens. And these people become police officers, and their automatic instinct is to not think about the other person, is to think about themselves. And that, like, that fight or flight that comes in is like a racist, like, oh, he's black. Like, okay, I'm drawing a gun here. Like,
but that's not even like something that's decided, you know what I mean? Because it's so deeply ingrained inside their heads. Like, that's
what I'm saying.
It's not like
that's
if you
that's the bigger obstacle of all this.
Right.
Like, organization is great, and getting the message out is great. But how do you, I mean, like, do we take everybody and Clockwork Orange them at the end and just keep their eyes open and like
No, that's that's a nightmare. There are economic advantages to racism, and that's why it stays where it is, because people profit from it. There's not you can't separate it. We can't separate one from the other.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
it's not just racism for racism's sake, even though you have to wonder with some of these cops, the entire system we're talking about is an economic, legal system.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, again, like going back to having 3 possession charges, I probably spent 10 grand between the 3 of them to not have them be on my record, to not have them be anywhere. So I'm feeding into that economic funnel of all this. It's just different because they get to take all of their money. Or say you don't have enough money and we'll put you in the system, which then costs the system money.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that
it's like, how does that really, like, I understand the economic, I understand what you're saying, Michael, but like but the other end of that is that, like, you're actually, if you're putting someone who got busted with weed in Rikers for 3 years, the amount of money it costs to house that person for that would be a lot more than 10 grand that I spent over, from the time I was 19 to 30 years old when I got, just saying, like, that's 11 years.
You paced yourself with your marijuana
10
busts.
grand. I'm saying, I know. Yeah. 19.
You knew to pace yourself.
19, 22, and 30.
There's a Fibonacci number in there somewhere.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing to think about. It's just like where the money goes and where it comes out of and who's.
Well, it's interesting that New York City pays all these damages out of all these police brutality settlements. So the cops are kind of playing with house money as far as not having any, discipline, being as really remote from what goes on as could possibly be. There's a New York State 50A law that makes disciplinary records super, super secret in proceedings because of whatever pretext. And if there was, and it's easy to say this as a union member because cop unions aren't unions, if there was a way to attach these settlements to, I've probably seen this online is where I got the idea, to the police unions pension and welfare funds.
Yeah, then they would think twice.
Attach the settlements.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like that's a local law thing, right? That's a vote local, vote good people in type deal.
I don't know what's going to happen with Cuomo still in there.
Yeah.
He can't help but position himself as the anti-Cuomo on anything. So if Cuomo is the anti-de Blasio on anything, so if he's trying to position himself with to ingratiate himself with the cops, it's not hard to find daylight between the NYPD and de Blasio on any subject. On any subject.
I saw that they were having that his daughter got arrested, and they were having I guess she threw something at them.
Oh, she threw a brick or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah. Part of me is like, this is the only real way to see real change. It's how we saw real change with, I don't know. I just feel like, you have to sometimes just put your feet on the ground and stand up and say no, and do it in a horde of people that say the same thing. And then between that and
I think you can't be scared. I think you can't be scared to demand what's right. And if you're scared because of what the reaction will be, well, then you doubly know you're right of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're clearly seeing that people are scared of the reaction, based on what's been happening the last couple of days.
Yeah.
This is usually a comedy podcast.
Yeah,
but it's nothing. I mean, it's
not that funny out in the world right now. It's a problem.
No, and we don't do anything else but sit in our apartments and stew on it.
And we obviously want to entertain, but we also
easy now. People get out now and then. They're just I fixed a light switch for Grandma and Uncle Pat. I just wore a mask the whole time, and I used hand sanitizer. Used hand sanitizer when I changed the speakers on their computer.
I like, speaking of speakers, those speakers on your ears right there are a nice little wrap gift, huh?
Oh, stupid. Am I branding again?
You're branding. It's I don't care. Mozart. They gave you headphones? Oh, because it's an audio thing. I get you. I guess that's
the
good.
show is a better conductor, yeah.
Guess that's good.
A show called Mozart in the Woods.
Jungle? Have you heard of it?
I have, yes.
Okay. What else do we want? What can we do to take it from?
What's a good, well, how do we segue this out?
Yeah. We can talk about babies. That's for sure. That's always something good. The dog, let me give you a little update on Richie. Doing great. I've been taking the cone off of him here and there just to give him a little break from.
You saying even Richie got away with the assault on your girlfriend?
He had nothing to do with it.
Wow.
It wasn't like she pulled him. He pulled her down. She tripped.
Isn't Richie a pit bull?
Did you check her for? For infection, because she might have fallen in the same place you got your knee gungus.
I just looked at
knee gungus.
And remember he had that knee gungus?
Yes. It's because Jeremy doesn't shower or bathe properly.
He's one of those white people who doesn't wash his legs.
He washes everything but his kneecaps.
Constantly. What do you mean? I'm washing them right now.
That's not true at all.
I wash my legs.
You take a shower before you go to bed.
Just because you soap up top and it goes down and it trickles down doesn't mean that's cleaning it.
Yes. You know what? That's what the fuck is the problem with the economy. That's what the fuck is the problem with the economy right there.
So for the Patreon video person, you brought up the tripping, and this is the day or two after.
Oh God, you're saying I was exposed to the knee gungus?
Yeah,
right. That's really there. Close.
Oh,
we need contact tracing on me.
Yeah,
and you.
But there's a great photo of Danny and Mike sort of holding me after the Nickel City Con.
We're sort of holding you. It was Mother's Day weekend in Buffalo.
Yeah. That's right.
And
it was Mother's Day to be there with you.
It was unseasonably warm. But
we got to eat good pizza, and I dream about that pizza now. So shout out to
Bocce Club.
Yeah, Bocce Club. There you go.
Very good.
It's funny because my
Bocce Club is burning.
I hope not. God,
they're burning the picnic tables outside.
So Marla's mom grew up in Buffalo, and so I called her when we were there.
Marla's mom grew up in Buffalo.
Sounds like a Springsteen song.
Marla's mom worked at the factory, yeah.
But wait, you gotta get the piano first.
Every day, knitting at the factory. Go ahead, Marla's mom.
Yeah, so she's a
huge, about bocce.
That's her favorite. That's what she grew up with, I guess.
So is there a bocce to Brooklyn pipeline that we can get on somehow? Some sort of pneumatic tube, 500 miles long. I would
drive to Buffalo and back for that pizza. Probably.
I don't know about that.
That's tough. That's a 12-hour round trip, bud.
What else are we doing?
You stay in Syracuse.
We do it for weed. Why can't we do a pizza?
I've never traveled.
I would do it for pizza. Baby, mom's in Buffalo.
Most is half that. 3 hours there, 3 hours back. 6 hour round trip is about
Massachusetts.
Your limit.
They're back open, by the way.
Heads up, everybody. Danny's limit is the Berkshires. Heads up, Berkshires to Wildwood radius going on.
Ooh, Berkshires to Wildwood is 5.5 hours. That's far. It's too far.
No, you're in the middle of that. It's a radius. Yeah. It's a radius. A diameter.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, the point being is that I had brought her back a menu and a whole bunch of stuff and gave it to her when I went to Florida. And then I was on set one day of City on a Hill, and they had it was a period thing. They had a mug that said "Good morning, Buffalo," and she fucking uses that mug so much, and I hear so many things like how much she loves it, and she'll display it and show it to people.
You really greased the potential in-law there.
For the listener, Jeremy just admitted to theft. The Danny and Mike podcast is clearly pro looting and wealth redistribution. I don't want people to get it wrong. We are
There you
pro.
go.
We're pro that. Do crimes.
Yes.
As long
Not in
as they're-
Nassau. Not in Nassau County. Yeah, not in Nassau County. Watch out for Danny's dirty cop relatives.
I know they're not dirty
They're not
cops.
dirty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dirty cop relatives in that all cops are dirty. They're not specifically dirty cops. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't be a good cop.
I'm just going to say that.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to speak on all that.
Not all cops are dirty, but these ones are. Watch out for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I don't want to shit on cops. They do have a very tough job, and
They could just not do it,
but
and
they
we could not have
also-
cops.
yeah. I don't know if that would work. Would that work? Would a world without, or at least let's say Brooklyn. Let's say if Brooklyn got rid of all the cops, they'd slash the budget and spent that on education. And
Well, then the cops from Queens would visit and kind of fuck things up anyway. No.
yeah, Staten Island.
Clearly
is
by
popping
you,
over the bridge.
where it's close.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'd be lobbing shit over the Pulaski Bridge. Like, here we come. Okay, so they're apropos of nothing. I broke the law real good one last marathon day. Not this past marathon day, but 2 marathons ago. The cops will shut down the Pulaski Bridge, and the marathon was over for hours, and they were still just taking their sweet time picking everything up and cleaning. And Jeremy doesn't want to know about my law breaking. I don't blame him.
I'm listening.
So I says to Mabel, and the Pulaski Bridge was still closed. And I went to the service road of the Pulaski and backed up until I got to the main road and just ripped over it to get to the 7 train real quick.
Oopsies.
And then I drove back down it like it was, the other end was just fine.
But you got a ticket?
No, just giving a good example of how you can do a crime. But it didn't hurt anybody, and there was really no, use for all the cops that they mobilized for the New York City Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had hit somebody, it would have been a fucking tragedy and super dangerous, and I would have been very regretful.
I want to look into that cop budget. I want to do.
You want to what? You want to know what you could do with $6 billion, Jeremy?
I don't
There are
want the money.
so many
I want
other
the money
things.
to go into the community.
Dude, there are so many things you could do with $6 billion besides, I don't know. That doesn't even count the settlements that they pay to people.
Yeah. I could have at least one more Seltzer King studio.
Oh, yeah, you're thinking Roman numerals now, is what you think.
I could get some new mics. And
Yeah, exactly.
Get myself.
He's like, I could record the blueprint and the graduate and
I want
And
the
drop
Abbey
it.
Road
You
packed
could
up,
buy
and I
that
want it
Wu-Tang
here.
record.
Yeah.
You could buy that Wu-Tang
you could buy
record that Marty
off of Martin
Shkreli
Shkreli,
bought.
off of Martin Shkreli in Out of Prison. You could probably get it at a discount. He asked for compassionate release, and they're like, "Nah, I'm sorry, you're going to stay in
There's
jail."
nothing
I really don't
compassionate
believe in
Look,
jail except for that guy.
I can fix the coronavirus. I can do it. I alone can do it.
I can do
fuck
it
outta
by
here.
acquiring the patent to the coronavirus vaccine and then increasing the price by 720%.
Exactly.
That's how I'm going to solve the economy and the pandemic at the same time. So you could buy that record, Jeremy,
Cash.
100,000 times. Yeah, like many, many times over.
But then I'd have to do a transaction with
The
Skrilla.
RZA,
Fuck
the
that guy.
Jizza. No.
No.
Oh, I would totally do that in transaction.
Oh, did they write a sell on into the contract? Because California has that thing where like if an artist makes a work of art and like the person they sell it to sells it again, the artist should get a cut of that the next time that changes hands. Well, yeah, because you like say you sold something, right, when in 30 years ago when you were broke and starving, and now it's worth $80 million.
Wait, it's worth $6 billion.
Oh, okay. Say you sold a receipt for the cops that says I owe you.
First appearance of Punisher and Spider-Man.
Hey, man, that's my nest egg right there. So it's up to 1,500 right now.
Oh, your retirement comics are still increasing in value.
Why is it not your dad's nest egg?
His money is in the Buick. His money is in the Buick in the driveway. It's cash. It's in the trunk.
I stole it from him. He doesn't know what he had.
It's in that trunk that you put your feet up on in the living room, right?
That's right.
The one that your family floated.
The one my family floated from fucking Italy, you piece of crap.
I think that's a good place to. that's
Everybody stay safe.
Good as any. Yes. Please just be kind to each other and realize that maybe you don't have all the answers, and that kindness is the way to go. So that's my 2 cents. That's been Jeremy's Kindness Corner for May. It's not May, for June of
June
2020.
1st, bud.
Yeah. We are a part of the Last Podcast Network. Give us a listen on that. LastPodcastNetwork.com. They have been tons of great podcasts on there. Check those out. Also, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Danny and Mike with
the and spelled out.
Yes.
If you have a problem with anything that I said specifically about cops, you can let me know at Michael C. Maronna on Twitter or at 347-470-8150. That's the Danny and Mike phone. If you call it, we'll be there.
That's right.
Typically within 20 hours. You understand with the pandemic, we have a delayed response time. So just stay on the line and we will get there. But leave us voicemails. We love to get them.
Is there a peace symbol?
SouthBKMutualaid.com. South, SOUTH, BK.
There you go.
Mutual Aid, MUTUALAID.com. South Brooklyn, mutualaid.com.
You can find Michael at Michael C. Maronna on the Twitters. Danny's at D Tamberelli on the Twitters, at Danny Tamberelli on the Instas. I am at Remy Balon on the Twitter and at Jeremy Balon on the Instagram. Also have a new podcast coming out this Friday called Going Dork. I'm having copyright problems with the theme song, so that's a whole fucking mess that I got to deal with before Friday.
Come and knock on our door. Come and knock on our door.
Why don't you just ask me? I'll make one for you.
Done.
Bro, I'll do my little Steven impression on it.
Oh, there you go.
Wait.
Hey, this is little Steven here with Going Dork.
Thanks, folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Stay
tuning in and supporting us on Patreon. It means so much.
Write this phone number on your arm. National Lawyers Guild.
You are keeping this podcast alive, and we really appreciate it. And give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. Take care of each other out there.
Bye.
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 The Adventures of Danny and Mike stars Danny Tamberelli and Michael C. Maronna. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon. This podcast is part of the Last Podcast Network, which can be found at lastpodcastnetwork.com. Make sure to check that out for a ton of great shows. For more information on the guys, visit our website at dannyandmike.com. Also look us up on Twitter at Danny and Mike with the N spelled out, and on Facebook at facebook.com/The Adventures of Danny and Mike. Thanks for listening.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.